Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Wednesday, June 29th, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So in today's video, we'll be taking a quick look back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out, talking about my core picks for the FanDuel main slate for today. I believe it's a 7-game main slate overall, and then going over to my article over at WeBetATS.com and talking about my top GPP stacks for today. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. At the pitcher position, we went with John Gray, $8,800. Got to 52 points, so a very good day there. So obviously it was a hit. He ended up being the third overall pitcher on yesterday's slate. Then at second base, we had Jose Altuve at $3,500. Only got to 3 points. Did give him a push. He was not a guy that completely killed us, but not anybody that helped us all together yesterday. Then at third base, we had Josh Donaldson. He's kind of like the risky play yesterday, $2,600, but got 6 points, so he was a push at the very least. Obviously had tremendous upside based on his history with Frankie Montas. Then in the outfield, we had Yordan Alvarez, $4,000, got to 37.4 points, so he was hit in the second overall outfielder on yesterday's slate, so a very, very good play there. And then last but not least, we had Dylan Carlson, guy that's been hitting the ball very, very well as of late, $2,600, got to 25.2 points. He was a hit in the sixth overall outfielder on yesterday's slate. So the picks yesterday, pretty good. You know, there was the 2 pushes in there, but the hits that I did have, the hits that we did have together, very, very good hits overall. So if you went with these 5 and had a couple other decent plays alongside them, you cashed pretty easily yesterday. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to the core picks for today. So I'll start off by saying the pitching today is very, very top heavy. So the more expensive guys are probably the better pitchers, obviously why they're more expensive. We're going to pay down a little bit today with Michael Kopech at $8,900, averaging about 26 fantasy points per game on the season. You know, he dealt with an injury a couple starts ago. Kind of been a little bit limited since then. I think he gets back to a fuller workload, fuller pitch count today. Goes against Los Angeles Angels. There's definitely some upside for him in this game, but on the flip side, there's also the possibility to go very, very wrong anytime you're facing a team that is throwing out Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. But at the same time, the strikeout upside that's there with this Angels team, the strikeout upside that's there with Kopech himself, offers a very, very high ceiling today. And then we're going to move down to our catcher / first base position. We're going to actually go with the catcher today. Don't typically do this very often, but JT Realmuto of the Philadelphia Phillies, $3,000, averaging over 9 fantasy points per game on the season. Been hitting the ball very, very well as of late. And he's 2 for 5 versus Kyle Wright, the starting pitcher for the Atlanta Braves today. Also has 2 home runs against him in those 5 at-bats. So every time he's getting a hit off of Kyle Wright, it's been a home run. So definitely a ton of upside there today. Then we move down to shortstop. We're going with Bo Bichette here. He is $3,300, averaging just under 10.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Boston Red Sox and Nick Pivetta today. Has pretty good history versus Nick Pivetta, 8 for 19 with 2 home runs versus him in his career. So the upside is very, very high. This Blue Jays team's hit Nick Pivetta pretty well in the past. However, Nick Pivetta has been pitching pretty well as of late. So there is kind of a little bit of give and take there, but lean a little bit more on the Blue Jays side today. Then we're going to move down to the outfield. We got Nick Senzel, $2,500, averaging just under 7 fantasy points per game on the season. Very, very slow start to the season, but been hitting the ball very well as of late. Goes against the Chicago Cubs and Justin Steele today. He's 2 for 3 versus Justin Steele in his career, so there is a little bit of upside there. He is also on a 5-game hitting streak, and in those 5 games, 3 of them have been multi-hit games. So the ceiling for Nick Senzel at $2,500 as a good paydown option today is very, very high. Then last but not least, we have George Springer in the outfield, $3,500, averaging about 11.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Once again, going against the Boston Red Sox and Nick Pivetta. He is 6 for 12 versus him in his career, so could be a little bit of upside there as well. He has not hit a home run off him in the past, but we could see if he changes that today. Starting to get healthy, starting to look better once again, George Springer. And between George Springer and CJ Cron, those were kind of my last 2 guys that I was considering there. If you want to throw CJ Cron in with the guys that I do have listed here, you could definitely do that as well. Pretty good history versus Julio Urias, who is pitching for the Dodgers today. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do have here, you'll have $13,800 remaining, just over $3,400 per player. So definitely a little bit of room to pay up for a player or 2 if that's something you want to do, or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, that's definitely viable on tonight's slate as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet over at WeBetATS.com and talk about my top GPP stacks. So once again, I already mentioned the Blue Jays quite a bit, but they do have very good history versus Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta, like I mentioned, is pitching very well as of late. So something in this matchup has got to give, whether it's Nick Pivetta pitching well once again, or whether it's the Blue Jays kind of roughing him up, or if it kind of meets somewhere in the middle. But I do have a ton of interest in these Blue Jays hitters today. Then we have the Colorado Rockies, who are actually hit Julio Urias very, very well. This game is at Coors Field, so there is a ton of ceiling there. And I expect more people are probably going to be on the Dodgers side, so getting to the Rockies could be a little bit sneaky way to get different today overall. Then we do have the Cubs. The one time they faced Hunter Green, they hit him pretty hard, so there is some upside there with some of these Cubs hitters, whether it's a Nico Horner or Christopher Morel. Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ both hit home runs versus him in the last start too, so those could be guys to look at. And then we have the Atlanta Braves going against Ranger Suarez today. Ranger Suarez is not the same pitcher he was at the end of last season, so definitely have interest in this Braves team once again. And then last but not least, we have the Cincinnati Reds. Already talked about Nick Senzel, but you could look at a few of these different options going against Justin Steele of the Chicago Cubs, who's not pitched well as of late. But with that being said, these are my core 5 picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, June 29th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5, whether it's someone from my top GPP stacks, or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's definitely for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Obviously, MLB DFS at this point in time, that's kind of the main sport that's going on. But once we get back around to the NFL and NBA regular seasons, I'll be covering those two sports as well. And then with that being said, if you're a newer current subscriber who's yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you who watched in today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.